I want to break down some NFL for you guys tonight. What I really want to do is I kind of want to go over each and every team, kind of go over some storylines each one of these teams has as we're getting closer and closer to kickoff, right? We have, it's Friday, guys, a week until the Eagles play, 6 days until the Ravens and Chiefs kick off the 2024 season. I'm really excited about it. Hold on 1 second. We can see my little ring light back there. All right, that is better, guys. All right, the first team I want to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals, right? For me, one of the major concerns with this team is edge rushing, right? The Arizona pass rush is just not very good. B.J. Ojulari, a standout last year, is a very good player, suffered a season-ending ACL injury during training camp, and the rookie first-rounder, Darius Robinson, is expected to miss multiple weeks. They don't have a lot of guys on their roster right now that are, 8, 9, 10 sack guys. So can the Arizona Cardinals get pressure on opposing quarterbacks? When they play Buffalo next week, I think that's going to be one of the biggest concerns for Arizona is can they get to Josh Allen? Because if you give Josh Allen time, he's going to find Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir and those tight ends easily, man. So it's going to be really tough sledding for Arizona defensively to get a pass rush. And if they can't get a good pass rush in this game, I just don't see the way that they could beat the Buffalo Bills, man. Because if they don't get their pass rush wise, they don't have the corners and the safeties to kind of be able to allow Josh Allen all this time, right? So the Arizona Cardinals definitely need to address the pass rush situation at some point in the coming years if they ever want to be a contender. All right, next up I want to talk about the LA Rams. The Rams are in a very interesting position, right? They have a D tackle, Kobe Turner, who had a very good season last year, absolute breakout season. But did he have a breakout season because Aaron Donald was next to him, right? It'll be very interesting for me to see how teams kind of block guys like Kobe Turner. Are they going to double him? Or are they just going to go one-on-one with him? Because Aaron Donald got double and triple teamed his entire career. So it allowed people around him to be a lot more productive because they got a lot of one-on-one matchups. I expect Kobe Turner to get double teamed and triple teamed and get that Aaron Donald treatment this year. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. They drafted Brandon Fiske in the second round, so he's going to contribute to that D-line and that pass rush as well, guys. So we'll have to see how that plays out for the Rams. The Rams offense, we all know, are really, really good. I have no idea what you're talking about, Joseph, but thank you for tuning in. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the San Francisco 49ers. They just got the Brandon Ayuk deal done. So if you are a fan of the 49ers, Ayuk will be suiting up against the Jets in prime time on Sunday night. That's great. I think the 49ers, the window is closing slowly and slowly and slowly, right? They can't pay all these guys, man. What's going to happen with Trent Williams? He wants more money, right? They just paid Brandon Ayuk a ton of money for 4 years. So I'm curious to see how this Trent Williams situation plays out. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Trent Williams gets paid too? Yeah, I mean, but it's going to get to the point where how are they going to be under the salary cap paying all these superstars big time money? The only guy who's not getting paid yet, it seems like, is Brock Purdy because he's still on that rookie deal. But, the regular season's going to be here in 6 days, so they don't have a lot of time to get this deal done, right? If you haven't yet, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are only 200 subscribers away from 7,000. I really appreciate you guys tuning into this live stream. All right, next, let's move on to the Seattle Seahawks, guys. I want to talk about the secondary a little bit. They had some they have some serious talent. Rick Woolen, very, very good player. And then we got guys like I mean, their whole defense is just getting better and better and better. They brought in McDonald from the Ravens to coach the secondary, right? Devin Weatherspoon was incredible last year. So is Seattle kind of reforming that Legion of Boom defense with these guys like Rick Wallen, like Devin Witherspoon, right? We'll have to see how he plays this year, because if Wallen can take that step forward for Seattle, man, they're going to have a very, very interesting secondary, right? Okay, Dallas Cowboys. I'm really concerned about the running back room for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm concerned about the wide receiver room as well. Listen, other than CeeDee Lamb, they don't have a ton of pass catchers on this Dallas Cowboys team. They don't. And the running back room, Zeke Elliott, Dalvin Cook, I mean, these guys are way past their prime. They don't have a lot of bona fide, player. Like if a team gets locks down CeeDee Lamb, like they're playing Cleveland, right? The Cleveland Browns are going to put Denzel Ward on CeeDee Lamb all day long, right? So where do they go from here? I mean, Jake Ferguson is an option, but Brandon Cooks is getting older and older. Cheers, everybody. Happy Friday. And their defense is a little bit concerning for me, too. Leighton Vander Esch, he retired, man. So they got a new defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, there. He likes his linebackers. So it'll be really interesting to see how this defense kind of molds under Mike Zimmer, the former head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, because I think the Dallas Cowboys this year live and die with that defense. Because the offense, they got a lot of rookies that are potentially starting. Cooper Beebe. They have some, holes on that offensive line. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Next up, let's talk about the New York Giants a little bit. Where do they go offensively? They got Devin Singletary from the Texans. They got Malik Neighbors. But I'm really concerned about the New York Giants secondary, right? There's a lot to like about the front seven for the New York Giants. They traded for Brian Burns. He joins Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau on the D-line. While linebacker Bobby how do you say his last name? Okokere, he's really good too. Yo, what's up, Dave? How's it going, man? So, yeah, the New York Giants are really going to depend on this defensive line. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. If they can't get home against teams, they're going to really struggle in the secondary, I think, this year. And the New York Giants, they're just a very thin team, man. Minus Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver room is not too good. Devin Singletary, we'll see how he is this year coming over from the Texans. But Daniel Jones, in a couple of those preseason appearances, he looked really, really bad, man. Really bad. Yeah, I mean, I really like that the Buffalo Bills line, because it was at -7 at one point, right? And now it's at -5.5. So if this continues to tick down and more juice comes on the Cardinals, that's a very interesting bet. Oh, man, I'm concerned about the Cowboys because the way they match up with the Browns, right? The Browns have an excellent defensive line. Excellent defensive line. And they're going to be attacking these rookies, man. It looks like there's going to be 2 rookies starting on the offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. Who's blocking Myles Garrett? There's not one guy on that offensive line that can block Myles Garrett one-on-one, right? So they're going to have to double him the whole time. So that means it's going to be a lot of one-on-one with some of these rookies. And one-on-ones with rookies on the offensive line, not great. I think Denzel Ward is going to be able to cover CeeDee Lamb. And unless Jake Ferguson balls out, I don't see how they win this game. Because they're not going to win this game by running the ball down the Browns' throat. There's no way that's going to happen, right? I mean, that was Zeke Elliott, who's 300 years old. And Dalvin Cook is is he even going to be activated? I mean, Jonathan Brooks he's on the PUP list. So for Carolina, Jonathan Brooks is going to miss the first 4 games of the year. I'm excited for him to come back once he comes back, Carolina, with Jonathan Brooks and Xavier Legette, they got some exciting young pieces to go along with an improved offensive line. Yeah, Cooper Beebe, he was one of my favorite players. If you watch my videos when I was scouting offensive linemen this year, I think he's a really good player, but he's still a rookie, and Myles Garrett is a man amongst men, dude. There's nobody blocking Myles Garrett, and if they're going to have to shift protection to double team Myles Garrett, that means Cooper Beebe is going to be a lot of one-on-ones with some beast defensive linemen for this Cleveland Browns team, man. All right, now let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles, right? A lot of interesting moving parts for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? We got a new defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. We got a new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. Jason Kelce, the guy calling out the protections, he's gone. Fletcher Cox, one of the best defensive linemen of the last decade, he's gone as well. So, how is this defense going to respond in this game versus the Packers? The Packers have a ton of really good young receivers. Romeo Doubs, Wicks, Christian Watson. They brought in Josh Jacobs from the Raiders, man. He's a really good player. This is going to be a close game. And if they have trouble blocking for Jalen Hurts, we know that Jalen Hurts is not the best versus the blitz, right? So the Packers have some ways to victory. They drafted really well. They brought in Xavier McKinney from the Giants. How do the Giants let Xavier McKinney walk? Yeah, I mean, the Eagles' offense is definitely way better than the defense. They got a great offensive line. Antonio Brown, Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert is a really unheralded tight end. And bringing in Jahad Dotson from the Commanders is a big addition, right? Can they play defense? Is a guy like Quinyon Mitchell going to find himself outside at the cornerback position early in the season? And then, because if you have Quinyon Mitchell outside, who's been great in camp, he's going against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith all day long, so he's learning a lot fast. Same thing with Cooper DeJean. If you got Slay on the outside with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean in the slot, that's a huge upgrade for the Philadelphia Eagles defensively. The safety position's not bad. They brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who came back from the Detroit Lions, and they also got Reed Blankenship. He's a pretty good player, man. He's a solid safety. For me, one of the biggest concerns for the Philadelphia Eagles is that linebacker spot. They drafted a linebacker in the 5th round, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I don't know if he's going to get much playing time, but this Philadelphia Eagles linebacker core is one of the worst in the NFL. And if Josh Jacobs can bust through the D-line and get to the second level, this whole linebacker core does not tackle particularly well. So the Packers could run away with this game, but it's going to be really, really close. I'm really excited for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Cam Jurgens is moving to center, taking over for Jason Kelce. That's big shoes to fill. I'm excited for Jalen Hurts to get command of the offense. He's going to be altering the protections, making audibles at the line of scrimmage. And I do think Kellen Moore's offense is going to be a little more unpredictable than what Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson were presenting to the NFL last year. They were a very vanilla offense, and teams knew what they were doing. And, Jalen Hurts isn't great with the blitz, man. Yeah, they're definitely going to miss Jason Kelce for sure. It's a huge loss in the locker room. But, he was getting a little bit older. He's a little bit undersized. Cam Jurgens is a very good player. He's just not Jason Kelce, man. Next, let's talk about the Washington Commanders just a little bit, guys. The wide receiver room there is extremely thin. It's Terry McLaurin and a bunch of no-names. Can a guy like Jami Brown step up in this offense? They drafted Ben Sinnott, the tight end, to be paired with Zach Ertz, who used to be really good. But Jaden Daniels is going to run a lot of that read option offense. Yeah, I'm hoping Goddard can play. He's been banged up a lot. I think the Philadelphia Eagles might need to consider moving on from Dallas Goedert if he regresses again. It's been back-to-back years that he's regressed in this offense. So if he does not come back up to par, the Philadelphia Eagles have to consider drafting a tight end early in the draft next year. We'll have to see how that crop is. All right, let's read some of these comments. Yeah, Hassan Reddick left, but they did bring in Bryce Hutt from the Jets, who's a big sack guy. But he wasn't a full-time player. He was a situational guy with the Jets, so he's going to get a lot more playing time, and I think Vic Fangio is going to scheme him up really well. Oh, yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. The Eagles linebacker core is, I would say they're probably bottom 5 in the league right now. For whatever reason, Howie Roseman doesn't value the linebacker position, which is really confusing for me. I don't understand it. Some of the best defenses, if you look at the San Francisco 49ers, a guy like Warner is the staple of that defense. And in Vic Fangio's scheme, if Fangio's going to be there for the next 5 years, they need to draft a linebacker early or trade or sign for a guy who could be the general of that defense. I don't think the Eagles have anyone on that roster that can take over those responsibilities and be a field general, someone that can tackle well, really good at diagnosing the play early, can tackle. The Eagles missed so many tackles last year. It was really, really crazy to watch, man. So, Chicago Bears, guys, what do you think about the Bears? You think Caleb Williams is the real deal? He did okay in the preseason. He had some highlights, but he also had several consecutive drives where he looked pretty lost, right? I'm not sure how that goes. I think the Bears' defensive line really needs to step up and give Caleb Williams opportunities. I don't want to see Caleb Williams play from behind a lot because I think that's when the turnovers are going to happen. I think that's going to be huge for the Bears, is to play with leads, be able to run the ball, some play action. That'll open up things down the field for DJ Moore. So I'm really excited for Caleb Williams. I'm just excited for the NFL, right? This guy, coming over from USC is supposed to be the next big thing. If he's great, it'll be really good for the NFL. But if not, you know what I mean? If he's a bust, that would really be unfortunate for the Bears. But I think he's got the skill set to be pretty good. I mean, he's got great weapons too. If you can't be successful with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze, if you can't be successful with those guys, I don't know how else. Cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the live stream. Happy Friday. Hope everyone enjoys their Labor Day weekend. I'm so excited for football, guys. I'm going to do some specials this week for predictions and spreads. Yeah, I think so too. I agree with you, Deuce. The Bears are set up pretty well. I mean, they have one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. So we'll have to see. They need to get that pass rush. They need to give Caleb Williams the opportunity to not be playing from behind. They were really good against the run last year, but I'm looking at their games from last year. Most teams attacked them down the field. They weren't trying to run the ball on the Bears last year. We'll see how that goes this year. Let's move on to the Detroit Lions. One of the biggest questions going into the season for a team that doesn't have a lot of questions is, can Jameson Williams step up and be that true number 2 wide receiver, right? Josh Reynolds has moved on to the Denver Broncos, right? So they need some guy to step up in that offense that's not Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it's not Sam Laporta, right? Sam Laporta, what a rookie season he had last year. He's one of my favorite tight ends in the NFL. The dude is an absolute stud. Yeah, I'm a little on the fence with the Steelers, man. The offensive line injuries concern me, but I'll talk about them in a little bit. The Detroit Lions, if Jameson Williams can step up and be that true number 2 with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, this offense, with that offensive line, they are going to be unbelievable this year. I think the Detroit Lions, guys, have the potential to win 12, 13 games this year for sure. They're going to be tough to beat. If they went 7-1, 6-2, or 8-0 this year at home, I would not be surprised. Jerome Ford, yeah, he'll be really interesting to watch for the Browns, right? With Nick Chubb on the PUP list. He won't be back till week 4, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm really excited about this Green Bay Packers team too. Unfortunately, they're playing my Eagles week 1. I think they're going to be really, really good. Bringing in Xavier McKinney, dude, 4 years, $68 million. They paid a premium for a premium safety. We'll have to see how that plays out over the life of this contract, right? They also added Javon Bullard in the draft. He's a great player, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. There's a lot of moving parts with Baltimore, man. A lot of free agents. Man. They got a new defensive coordinator. They still have a top, 5 defense for sure. The interior offensive line's a little concerning for me, too. There's not a lot of depth there for the Ravens. And the wide receiver room isn't, that deep either. If I'm defenses, I'm stacking the box against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and I'm forcing Lamar Jackson to throw the ball down the field and beat me. I'm just not going to allow. I'm not going to go against the Ravens with a soft box, man. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not doing it. Like, I need them to beat me down the field. They need to. Jaden Reed, dude, I think the Packers' core of wide receivers are extremely talented, right? They're all like under 25 years old, which is insane. Like Wicks and Reed and Watson. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons, right? Can the league figure these guys out, right? They're all young. They don't have a ton of experience. So we have to see how this kind of plays out. Everyone's getting really excited about Jordan Love, and I totally understand why. But you got to remember, the first half of the year, he really struggled, man. Jordan Love, but he figured some stuff out. Our defensive coordinator is going to be able to make adjustments to what made him so successful in the second half of the year last year. So I'm really curious, right? We're going to find out a lot because Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, right? He's great when he has time to scheme up a defense for certain offenses, especially ones similar to the Green Bay Packers, right? So if the Eagles kind of stymie him a little bit, there might be some, information out on Jordan Love that could potentially hinder his success this year. The sophomore slump is real. Last year was the first real year he was the starter of the Green Bay Packers, right? So we're going to see a lot in the first few weeks on how this Packers team is. They drafted really well, too. The Packers are a scary team, man. Yo, the Packers are a super scary team. If I'm the Bears and the Vikings and the Lions, I'm worried about the Packers for sure, man. I am worried about the Packers. All right, now let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings a little bit. Yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, he's interesting, right? Because Jacobs had a really good year 2 years ago, I think. He led the NFL in rushing. And then he was terrible last year, but was that because the Raiders' offensive line was complete trash? But Aaron Jones, especially the second half of the year last year, he was unbelievable. So we'll have to see if Josh Jacobs has anything left in the tank. Obviously, the Packers think there's a lot of juice left, that they're going to let Aaron walk like that, man. Aaron Jones, him leaving was a big surprise for, I think, a lot of people, man. If you haven't yet, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 7,000 subscribers. We added almost 2,000 new subscribers to this channel in August alone. I've been trying to put out a ton of NFL content for you guys. I appreciate you guys so much tuning in. The Vikings are interesting, right? Sam Darnold's the guy now. No J.J. McCarthy. He's done for the year. They brought in Aaron Jones. They got Addison. They got Justin Jefferson. Woo, baby. They got a pretty good defense. They brought in Jonathan Grenard. $72 million deal, 4-year contract, man. Woo, Grenard's getting paid. They got a pretty good defense. The Vikings could surprise some people, man. If the Vikings won 9 games, 10 games this year, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm really curious to see how Sam Darnold looks after a few weeks. Is it going to be that situation where the league kind of figures him out? because he hasn't been great yet in his NFL career. We'll have to see how that goes. Another team I'm excited to talk about is the Atlanta Falcons, right? Kirk Cousins coming off that Achilles injury. This team is really going to be fun to watch. You got an incredible offense. I mean, Bijan Robinson there, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, a very, very formidable offensive line. The Falcons are a really, really, I mean, they're a pretty solid team all over the place. They don't have a ton of weaknesses. They have a top, 5 or 6 offensive line, in my opinion. I think this team is going to be extremely efficient. And as long as Kirk Cousins is not a shell of himself, but even if that happens, they're going to give Michael Penix Jr. a shot. I like the Falcons. They could probably win that division in the NFC South. They added Simmons and Matthew Judon to this defense. You know, it's exciting, man. It's a really exciting team. I think they're a really exciting team. All right, let's move on to the Carolina Panthers, guys. Their offensive line, not great. Bryce Young was not great last year. They added some weapons. Xavier Legette, Jonathan Brooks, the running back, he's not going to play for 4 weeks. They added some additions to the offensive line, right? Robert Hunt's coming over from the Miami Dolphins. The tackles are a concern for me for this team. I thought they could maybe, steal a game from the Saints, but I think the Saints defense is just going to be too good. I don't expect the Saints offense to be super dynamic this year. Kamara's getting a little bit older. They just have Olave, really, and Derek Carr, I'm not a big fan of his. We'll have to see how that offensive line pans out for the Saints, right? Ryan Ramczyk, the right tackle, starting right tackle, he's done for the year, right? So someone's got to step up. Chuba Hubbard is going to be the number one guy for Carolina, right? And then I think Miles Sanders is still a good player. There's no way he's cooked yet. 2 years ago, he was really dynamic for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think Kamara's like 29. Let me check. Yeah, he's 29. I think he'll be 30 this year. So, 30 is that age where running backs, you start to see a little bit of a regression, right? He's still going to be able to catch balls out of the backfield. I think he's still valuable in like daily fantasy and stuff like that. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Can the Falcons, take over the division from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? The Buccaneers are pretty much running it back, guys. They're running it back. Pretty much the whole team is coming back. Guys like Shaq Barrett, he retired. So Yaya Diaby, he's going to step up on the defense. He's an absolute beast. They're running it back with Mike Evans, who re-upped. They got Chris Godwin still. They're going to run the ball a lot with Todd Bowles. They're going to blitz a lot. I think they're going to be okay. As long as they can stay healthy, I like the Buccaneers and the Falcons for that division to come down to the wire. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the live stream. We're talking football here. Week 1 for the NFL. I'm kind of going over each and every NFL team, talking about some of my concerns, some of the things I like. Tampa Bay Buccaneers also lost Devin White, who underperformed last year. They still got Tristan Wirfs, one of the best tackles in the NFL to protect Baker Mayfield. I think the Buccaneers will be just fine. One thing I'm concerned about is the Denver Broncos, right? I really liked Bo Nix. I think the AFC, it's hard to argue with that. The AFC South, right? If you put them in any other division, they're a potential division winner, right? Every single one of those teams. So whoever wins the AFC South is going to stay the most healthy, right? I think Pittsburgh, in my opinion, they're just so inept offensively that it's concerning for me. Their defense is really going to have to carry the load again. It's just tough sledding. They got a lot of young guys on the offensive line. I'm not sure how much Russell Wilson has in the tank. And Justin Fields looked pretty awful in the preseason, man. I don't have a ton of confidence in him. The Browns have that excellent defense led by Mike. I think he was like 5-1 before he got hurt last year. They have decent weapons. They brought in Judy, right, from the Broncos. They got Amari Cooper. They got Elijah Moore in the slot. They got David Njoku, the tight end, who's a really good player. So as long as Deshaun Watson doesn't suck balls, I mean, they're gonna be competitive, right? They're gonna be a pretty good team. And then the Ravens, I mean, they're, a top 3, top 4 team in the AFC. So good luck betting on whoever wins that game. Good luck. Good luck. Denver Broncos, I hope they can block for Bo Nix because I think he's got some talent. Cortland Sutton's a pretty good wide receiver. The offensive line is a little concerning for me. Lloyd Cushenberry left Denver in free agency. He's gone. He's with the Titans now. I mean, when your center leaves, they're like the general of the offensive line. It could hurt the offensive line at least early on in the season. I don't expect Denver to win that game on the road versus a pretty good Seattle Seahawks team. They brought in McDonald, the head coach, coming from the Ravens, right? So he's going to really kind of hunker down that defense and revamp that defense. And they have a great offense. DK Metcalf, Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett. The running back was really good there too. Geno Smith is okay, maybe like slightly above mediocre. But the offensive line is cheeks, man. The offensive line is not very good for the Seattle Seahawks. So that's a concern for me. Kansas City Chiefs. Offensive line concerns me a little bit, and cornerback. L'Jarius Sneed is gone. He is now with the Titans as well. So can they play that, tough man-to-man defense that Spagnuolo ran last year, most of the year, without L'Jarius Sneed? We'll have to see how the offensive line looks. They're dealing with some injuries. Looks like the rookie is going to have to start at left tackle. I like the Raiders, man. I really like the Raiders. If you break down this Raiders team, they're really interesting, especially on the defensive side of the ball, right? Gardner Minshew was a Pro Bowler last year. He learned a lot from Shane Steichen, who's the head coach of the Colts. The tackles are pretty good there. Miller and Munford Jr. for the Raiders. 80 PFF grade for Miller, 74 PFF grade for Munford Jr. The center, James, 74 grade. The offensive line is better. Gardner Minshew, it's interesting because Brock Bowers is a really good player, man. Brock Bowers can completely change this offense, especially paired up with Devontae Adams, right? So Devontae Adams, you got Jacoby Myers, you got Brock Bowers. That's not a bad team. Yeah, I mean, I think their defense is hella better, man. They brought in Christian Wilkins on defense. Max Crosby and Wilkins and Kuntz, Malcolm Kuntz on the outside. He was really good last year, 81 PFF grade last year, That D-line is very formidable, man. Very formidable. 8 sacks for Kuntz last year. This D-line is pretty good, guys. The linebackers aren't bad either. They got okay safeties, decent corners. The Raiders might surprise some people, man, especially in that division. I don't think the Chargers are going to be very good. I don't love the Broncos. I think the Raiders have a chance to be competitive and fight for a wild card spot this year for sure. I really, really do. I like the Raiders. I mean, the Chargers, man, if you just look at the Chargers team, like depth chart-wise, like how are they going to win games with this offense? Like how are they going to win games? The running backs, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Kamani Vidal, he's a rookie, right? It's like how? The Ravens were like Gus Edwards, Dobbins, hit the road. These are like castaways from other teams. For a guy who really wants to run the ball, and then wide receivers, you got Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston. You know what I mean? These guys aren't putting a ton of fear into opposing defenses. They're just not, guys. Yeah, I mean, I could see the Jaguars beating the Dolphins too, Zach. I talked about it on my channel. If you watch some of my long-form stuff, the Jaguars got a good D-line. Their wide receiver room's not bad. I like Evan Ingram, the tight end. He's a beast, man. So I like the Jaguars this year. Even if they don't beat the Dolphins, it'll be can they get to Tua? Can they disrupt Tua? Can they disrupt him? The Dolphins defense is dealing with some injuries, you know, so they have a chance to win this game. I think it's going to be a close game. It could be a potential shootout, like 27-24 type of game. But it'll be a lot of fun to watch. Buffalo Bills, I'm really excited about this year. They should be really fun. I'm concerned about the wide receiver room there. Khalil Shakir seems to be the guy. Keon Coleman, no more Diggs, no more Gabe Davis. They're going to rely heavily on the tight end spots like Dalton Kincaid and the other guy. So they're going to really depend on them. Really depend on them. It's going to be interesting to see that. I think that AFC East is completely up for grabs, everyone. Completely up for grabs. Minus the Patriots. I think the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bills will all compete. The Patriots are starting Jacoby Brissett at the quarterback position, so they're going to let Drake May sit back, relax, learn the offense, learn the NFL a little bit, and their offensive line is not very good. So Jacoby Brissett is going to get the shit kicked out of him a lot all season long, and they don't want that to happen to Drake May, right? So that's why they're sending Jacoby Brissett out there to take the punches. They don't got great running backs. They don't got great receivers. They're going to struggle to score points all year long. I think the Patriots win less than 5 games. I'm excited for the Jets too, man. Like, the whole Hassan Reddick situation is kind of annoying. Like, is he going to play at all this year? He's probably going to sit out the whole year and not get paid. Or is he going to report last minute? We'll have to see what happens. But their defense is top of the line anyway. I love the defense for the Jets, right? Is there a better defense in the NFL? I'm not really sure. I love the Jets defense. I mean, the cornerbacks, Gardner and Reed, and the D-line, Clemens, Kinlaw, Williams, Johnson. I mean, they are just stacked, man. They're stacked everywhere. Williams, Mosley, they got a good slot guy in Carter. I mean, their defense is so good. I think the Jets can win that game, dude. I really could. With Brandon Ayuk back, though, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this Trent Williams situation plays out. If he doesn't play week 1, I'm going with the Jets all day long, man. And Christian McCaffrey is, like, coming back from some injuries as well, so that's a little concerning for me. But the Jets, they have one of the better defenses in the entire NFL. The offensive line, Morgan Moses, Tyron Smith, that's some additions to the offensive line. They're going to be a lot better. We got Garrett Wilson on the outside. We'll have to see how Aaron Rodgers kind of works with this offense and see, where they're at. I mean, the 49ers, I don't know if they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover, man. Their roster is just so unbelievably talented. I mean, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy. I mean, it's an abundance of riches for the 49ers. And their defense is really good, too, led by Fred Warner. They're extremely talented, man. They're really, really talented. It's hard for me, besides the Lions, Packers, and Eagles, who can beat the 49ers in the playoffs? So, I originally thought that Arizona had a chance and be competitive in this game, especially because Arizona likes to run the ball. James Conner. I like Trey McBride, the tight end. I like the additions to Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft. But the offensive line is just so-so. The Bills have a really strong pass rush from the D-line position. And the Cardinals' defense sucks, dude. The Cardinals' defense, if you look at the PFF grades for the Arizona Cardinals defense, it's horrible, guys. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, even Budda Baker, 64 grade last year. The cornerbacks, 46 grade, 57 grade. D-line, 49 grade, 51 grade. I mean, their defense is really, really bad. And if Josh Allen is just okay in this game, they run the ball with Cook, do some play action, a lot of 12 personnel with the tight ends, involve Keon Coleman a little bit, keep the offense simple. I don't see any situation where the Bills lose this game. Like, how do they win? How do the Cardinals stop Josh Allen? I just don't see it happening. Not with that defense. They're just not very good. They're just not a very good team. Yeah, for sure. But like, is Zay Jones really gonna like get a lot of playing time on? You know what I mean? They got Wilson. They got like Marvin Harrison Jr. They got Dortch. You know, Zay Jones would be a nice complement piece, but like I think Zay Jones is probably going to be like a 6 target, 7 target a game type of guy. I think most of this offense is going to run through James Conner, Trey McBride, and Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that's where the majority of this offense. These are the majority of the touches for the Arizona Cardinals. Don't forget, guys, if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 7,000 subscribers. We almost hit 2,000 subscribers that we added this month alone, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in so much. We're really growing this channel. I'm going to do the best I can to research all these teams and give you the best bets. I do Survivor. I do daily fantasy. I do regular straight up bets. I'm going to do a members only live stream coming up in the next couple days where I'm going to go over all the bets. I'm going to go over my favorite bets. I'm going to go over the lines for each and every game, lines I like, lines I do not like. So I'm going to make you guys some money this year, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, right? And I think I'm going to wrap it up tonight, guys. I think I talked about pretty much all the teams I really wanted to talk about. There's nothing really glaring that I think I missed. We got the Ravens and the Chiefs week 1, 6 days. We got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Packers 1 week from today. I'm extremely excited. I think both those games are going to be extremely close, very competitive games. I'm going with the Chiefs and the Eagles to win these games. But yeah, absolutely, Deuce. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm out of here for tonight. I did my 40 minutes. I'm out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace.